I don't know if you remember. I don't remember episode 0 really, but episode 1 of this experiment that we're doing, episode 1, there was a moment where a firework went off.
Ooh. Oh, a firework! That's
Yeah.
kind of amazing.
And
Oh,
you
yeah,
got
I
a
do
you got a
remember
you
that.
got a shock, and I
I was in
cut to
your
face.
place. Yeah.
My old place in Dublin, and that firework was for Halloween, and we are now in October,
Oh, yeah.
so we are at 7/8 episodes later. We are at our 1 year anniversary. So congratulations.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Congrats to you too.
I mean,
We've averaged almost one a month.
less, like one every 2 months, I think is the average, because we're like episodes 7, 8, and there's 12 months, right?
Yeah, we've had some fairly big gaps.
Yeah.
This has been a pretty good big gap since the last one, actually.
Definitely. Well, between your exams, me getting into that new work schedule, just life, man. That's the kicker. Here's a question, James.
Mm.
I've been wondering. Have you ever heard of the Mandela effect?
I have, yeah.
Okay. Would you be able to give me like a brief description or synopsis of the Mandela effect?
So my understanding of the Mandela effect is where you think you remember something that happened, and that like multiple people are really sure they remember happening, but actually it never happened. I think it's named after Nelson Mandela because loads of people thought they remembered him dying.
Yes.
Which is he now dead? Did he actually?
He is now dead. Yeah. So they specifically remember him dying in prison, whereas then other people, myself included, remember him becoming president of South Africa, the first black president of South Africa. And then there's other ones. There's other ones like there's loads of famous videos. Just look up the Mandela effect, and you know, there's like subreddits, there's videos, there's all sorts of stuff. Like there's like a movie starring like Shaquille O'Neal called Shazam, where he plays a genie or something, but it never happened. Or starring Sinbad, or people are mixing the two movies up. But I've got two. I've got two that I want to fucking to me are Mandela effects, and I want you, because we both grew up in Ireland. We both moved away from Ireland around the same point. We both came back. Well, number one is our namesake, the spice bag.
Yeah.
Did the spice bag exist in Ireland before we moved to Canada?
Ooh. I don't know.
Because I certainly had never heard of one. Yet as soon as I came home from Canada,
they were everywhere.
All anyone could talk about was how this was like an Irish tradition. It's a staple.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck is a spice bag?
It definitely wasn't around like back when we were in college. It wasn't a thing.
But
so it definitely happened sometime between
good.
us leaving college and us coming back from Vancouver, I suppose. Yeah.
Because just the way people have acted, it felt like it was this time-honored meal tradition.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck is a spice bag? But everyone's like, you mean a spice bag? You know what it is like.
And every like Chinese place has it now.
Like, who tipped them off? Who sent the message to all of them?
I often wondered that, and like, how do they all have exactly the same kind of recipe? It's the same thing, basically. Right? Do they go and order from other restaurants to see what they're serving and do market research?
Like a SWOT analysis? Yeah. I accidentally lit my fucking bicycle light that I'm fidgeting with as I said that. That looked dramatic. SWOT analysis? Yeah, that I don't think they do. I mean, I know that a lot of the food comes from like the one supplier. Same with delis. So like when people go, "Oh, this place is a really good deli," it's like they're just reheating the stuff from the same place.
Yeah. Same like, frozen stuff.
You're talking
frozen
shit.
goujons.
Yeah, it's just frozen chicken fillets that they heat up.
Although I have noticed a huge variety in sausage rolls. Because when I used to walk into work, sometimes maybe I try to limit it to once a week in the mornings.
Sure.
I'd get sausage rolls on the way, and I'd stop into a different place each time, and they were vastly different.
Could that be the level of establishment, though? like a fancier place would order from a fancier supplier than like your
Well,
every Centra and every
mm,
Spar kind of have the same ones.
yeah, there was one that was very different, and it was a fancier kind of place. But even now, you see, I feel that even between some centres and spars, there was a big difference. But
Mm.
maybe it's just the day I went there, they were cooked a bit better. Because
It
some
could be
days they were
something.
undercooked and they just were horrible and
Well, you
slimy.
see, it could be undercooked, or I kind of like
Maybe
them when
that's
I
some
kind of like them when they're a bit softer.
really.
I like pastry when it's almost gooey.
I don't mind that too much, but I was worried
You know.
about the meat. I don't trust the meat
Sure.
in those at the
Well, the
best
one
of
thing is,
times. But
it's not meat,
is it pre?
and
Yeah, is it
it's
kind of pre-cooked as well?
it's all
Yeah,
pre-cooked. It's all they're just heating them up to. Now, I
yeah.
mean, that can still be dangerous because bacterial growth, but
Mm-mm.
mostly places are checked pretty not rigorously, but often. Checked often by the Health and Safety Food Board. Like the deli in the center I work in now has been like fucking. They've failed 2 or 3 audits, food safety audits,
Really, yeah.
since I've been there. You know, yeah, it's not good.
Do you ever look at the closure list up on the Food Safety Authority? They publish each
No,
month, I think, all the restaurants and food places that were ordered to shut down to
no, I
fix the
haven't.
cleanliness. Yeah, it's interesting to have a look at them. Every now and again, you see one, that you go, "Oh, I know that place."
Oh, that's super interesting because I want there's a story that I don't know, but I know there's a story. There was a fast food place opened up in Strokestown, my hometown in County Roscommon, and they were like doing up this building and putting in the like counter and the fryers and everything, getting it ready to open it as a fast food place. And
Hmm.
then before it opened, they got a giant sign up saying under new management.
Oh, okay.
Before it opened.
Yeah.
Why would you feel the need to advertise that your management had changed before anyone knew who the management was?
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, I
So I
didn't
was
think of
like,
that.
did they get shut down by the food
Yeah,
people like immediately, and then they were on that list, or what the fuck happened?
maybe, I don't
There's a
know.
story there that I don't know that I would love to. Sounds very
Yeah.
Strokestown though.
It does. I imagine just a new person buying it and deciding, oh, that's the thing you do. You put up a sign, and they just
Yeah,
decided,
that's
we'll just put up a sign.
it's more often than not life tends to disappoint by being a bit more boring. That's why
Yeah, and that's very
conspiracy
true with
theories
the
don't grasp
Mandela
me.
effects.
Okay,
Mm.
so what are oh fuck, Martha and I went through a few of them the other day, and I was like,
Yeah,
oh
I've definitely
shit,
seen a list of them in the past, and there's a
like
few of yeah.
there's no I don't know if you remember there was like a robber emoji, like a burglar, and he like was
I
black and
don't
white
remember that.
striped, and he had the like the black bandanas thing or whatever,
Yeah.
and it never existed, but I feel like I remember it existing, and a lot of people feel like they remember it existing, and then there was a hiker emoji as well, one walking with a stick.
Oh, that sounds more familiar to me.
Never
Yeah.
existed at all, ever, no trace.
Right.
And it's those types of things where you're like, no, but I'm fucking sure I've used that shit. And I
Yeah.
know that's a silly one, like maybe you've just seen an image of stuff like that or whatever, but
Yeah, it's kind of crossed wires or something.
um,
I'm gonna have
so
a quick
then
look to see.
I want to, yeah, and then there's always
Mhm.
that really famous one, but it doesn't mean anything to me. Is the Berenstain Bears from America?
Oh yeah,
Because
I
they
would.
all called it one thing, but it's something else. I'd never heard of them before, though.
Yeah, we actually had a book of them when I was a little kid down in Wexford. We had a book of the Berenstein or whatever bears, but I wouldn't have known what the spelling was of it.
Right.
That never. I don't have any strong opinion on how it was spelled.
Elf on a Shelf at
Yeah.
Christmas. Right? Never fucking never. I watched Christmas movies from America. I grew up in Ireland. I've seen Christmas. I fucking know Christmas. But now every motherfucker acts like Elf on a Shelf has been around forever. It's a time honored tradition. It never existed because people would have said, oh, hey, you look like Elf on a Shelf because I'm small, blue eyes, and I used to have brown hair. I used to look exactly like Elf on a Shelf. Photo of me for reference and Elf on a Shelf. And if I was never called that, it didn't exist.
No, I think you're totally right on that. I never heard of it until about maybe 6 years ago, maybe a little more. I think it's just a toy that had very good marketing behind it and just marketed so heavily that people began to think, oh yeah, this is a tradition now. This is I don't know, I think it's just good marketing.
Good marketing and collective acceptance
Mm,
rather than, oh, this is just one of the traditions now, and they just add it on to the pile rather than. But it's that nobody ever goes, oh, I remember when that came out, and that was only last year, and like,
Yeah,
I don't remember the Christmas, but I was like, again, it was like when I was back from Denmark. It's like
yeah,
three
yeah.
years ago. I'm like fucking Elf on the Shelf. Everyone was like, who's this little fucking guy that looks like old me or young me? And everyone's like, Elf on the Shelf. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what? you know,
Yeah, it's
those,
great
those
marketing
are
if you can
mine.
invent a tradition like that.
Yes, inventing a tradition. Especially because I'm pretty non-traditional, like by default. So I find
Mm.
it awesome when a corporation can like affect people's memories like that and or whatever. I think
Yeah.
that's fascinating to me, the psychology of the group as we accept things.
Um, Speaking of fast food places and Mandela effect, it reminded me of something I just remembered the other day, which is ironic. It's something that I remembered again because this was a case of real life deja vu. Not
Okay.
just that feeling of, oh, this is familiar, but of literally experiencing exactly the same thing happening twice.
Yeah.
And it was, Romeo's in Park 8th Street. It's the kind
Yeah.
of chipper takeaway.
Yeah.
And when I used to walk home from work, once in a blue moon, I might stop in there on my way home. And there was one time that I started walking home and it started to really lash rain. It was a horrible, mucky all night. And I was feeling fairly fed up. So I thought, look, I'm not going to cook. I'm going to go and get. I probably ordered the same thing I always order,
Which
which would be the
is
quarter pounder meal with a garlic sauce. So I went into Romeo's and ordered. And while I was waiting there, I was kind of just looking out the window and it was really rainy. And there was a motorbike going kind of around the corner up the big hill there.
mm-hmm.
As I was going around the corner, the bike kind of slid out from under the rider. It just kind of
Oh,
slid onto its side.
Jesus.
And all the staff came running over to the window and they were all looking out and talking to each other. I thought, oh, is he like the delivery driver or something? But he wasn't. Some people helped him back up and he was grand. He wasn't hurt or anything. And so then all the guys went back to work to prepare my,
Mm-hmm.
my dinner. And then I went home and didn't really think of it again. A few months later, I was walking home from work, same thing happened. It was a bit rainy and then it started to lash and I got soaked and I thought, oh fuck it, I'm not cooking, I'm gonna get burger and chips. Probably again ordered the very same thing. And as I was standing there outside, a bike went around that corner, slid onto its side. All the staff came to the window to look out.
Wow.
And then they went back and your man got up and he was fine.
Where?
And
Wow.
it was only then just after that happened, I thought, oh yeah, wasn't there another time I was here and I saw like a car crash or something? No, it was a bike sliding. And I remember, yeah, because all the staff ran to the window and I thought, oh, he must be the delivery driver, but he wasn't. And I realized that I'd seen exactly the same thing happen two
So
separate
it's
occasions.
so it's like not deja vu. You happen to see the exact same thing happen
Yeah.
at the same place at the same time, where you happen to have ordered exactly the same thing.
I don't know if I ordered the same thing, but I most likely did because
Most-
I always just ordered that. And it was
Maybe
just
you
by chance because it was rainy and I was in there on both nights. And I suppose the rain is why the bike slid. But
sure,
yeah,
and like, look, the boring answer is bikes are dangerous. It's probably a very awkward turn in the
it's
rain
a
because of the
slippery
hill.
spot on the road. Yeah.
So, I'm gonna lead us into the story of what you and I did recently together, and I'll start it with what I had for dinner, and then we can circle back around.
I was going to
So
say there's a link there. Yeah.
what I had for dinner today, you will have noticed. I was late getting on this because I got stuck in a McDonald's drive-through again, as it's the second time that has happened when I've been trying to meet you, and the other time was when this story takes place.
I like that. I know
uh,
if you're ever late, it's because you're stuck at McDonald's.
I'm stuck in a McDonald's. Ever since I got a car, man, I'm obsessed with McDonald's drive-through. I swear to God. I haven't gotten enough. That was me.
Drive-throughs are great. I love
They're
drive-throughs.
so good. It
It's
feels
such a
like you're in.
novelty. Eating in the car is
Ah,
so much fun.
but it feels like you're in California or something. And I'm a sucker for
We're simple
Americana.
folk. Yeah.
Like I am. I'm a sucker for the Americana vibe, and it was a beautiful fucking evening here again. Really autumn feeling, like the weather is beautifully
Oh,
fresh
this
and
last week it has switched to autumn.
it's
I love
bliss,
it. This is my favorite time of year.
bliss,
I
James.
wish it was like this all year round.
Oh, I could do the
Nice and
whole year.
chilly, a bit of a crisp chillness in the
Mm.
air at night, especially,
Oh
but
yeah,
and
nice.
lovely smells as well.
The smells outside are phenomenal. They hit you as
Mm,
soon as you step outside, and you can. I finally took like a jacket out of retirement
yeah,
and a
yeah,
hat, and oh, and then you're not overheating, and you're not just sitting there like just being clammy. And
yeah.
the reason I was going to the drive-through today, though, was because today was the day we were finally going to try the bison burgers.
Oh, yeah. I meant to ask you if you tried them. Yeah.
Yes, so I went because I just came up with an idea. It was such a nice evening, and I was loving the weather and the vibe, the autumn fucking feel to everything. So I was like, "Hey, Martha, do you want to just go and get a bunch of fries in McDonald's and eat them with our bison burgers?" Because I thought that just felt appropriate, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we were doing. We were going there to just order
Just.
fries, just
Nice.
like three large with extra packets of ketchup, and we were fucking 45 minutes in the drive-through.
Oh,
But totally worth it because we were at such a slow pace, and I've got the Bluetooth connector for the phone, so we were just watching YouTube
okay.
videos
Yeah.
and stuff, and it
Yeah.
was a lot. It was a lot of fun. I was a very cute dog in the car in front of us as well, so that was really
Nice.
nice. He was adorable. Yeah, so I had bison burgers. So if you
Mm.
wanna just maybe give an intro and like a description of where we went and what we did and or not what we did in there, but just like the place maybe. I'd like you to give the
Okay. Okay. Well, we went to Tayto Park, which is a potato crisp themed theme park. Um, it's I don't know what to say about it. It's got the largest wooden roller coaster in Europe or something like that.
oh.
Um, and and also it's kind of like half a zoo and half a theme park.
Hmm.
There's like loads of rides and also loads of animals. I'm not sure what else to say about it.
Yeah, well, that's great. That's an introduction. That's
Okay.
that's the place. So yeah, exactly. It's a park that has rides, theme parks, celebrating everything potato crisp. Mr. Tato
Yeah,
being Ireland's most famous crisp
you can get
brand.
an entire potato cut in a spiral and cooked like a crisp and then seasoned.
And
My one, they got a bit wrong. Something went wrong when they were seasoning it, and it had so much of the salt and vinegar that my mouth was actually sore for a few hours afterwards.
yeah, your one was quite salty, and I
I think it
mean,
was one of the last ones they
it
had of
was
the
so it was
day. So I'm
probably
wondering, did they
sitting
not
in
sell
there.
it because it went
No,
wrong?
it's more probably that it was they were seasoning that section they sit in, I would imagine, and that
Yeah,
one sat
probably.
there getting seasoned over and over and over, because they were closed up, and Martha, the guy in front of Martha, begged them to open again, and she happened to slink in with him, basically.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so we took you for your birthday.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah. You guys brought me. It was like you were bringing the kid to a theme park. Except the kid was a
except
30-year-old
the,
man.
the kid was a 30-year-old man who had to drive himself. Meet us here. Uh,
And I had to. I was waiting in the car park for about an hour, so
yes,
because you
because
guys went to McDonald's.
because on the way, we were supposed to get up early so we could go get McDonald's breakfast before we went to Tato Park. Martha was setting her alarm, so I didn't set mine. She set it for 9:30 p.m. instead of a.m. So she wakes me up, like by shouting at me, but she hadn't switched to English in her brain, so she was just yelling in Polish. So I didn't know what the fuck was happening. He's like, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, is there a war? But anyway, so we were like, fuck it. If we leave in like 10 minutes, we'll make it for the very last McDonald's breakfast order. And we
Yeah.
and but we knew we put us behind. I was like, fuck it. I'm like, we gotta do it now. It's whatever. And no shade, no shade. I assumed you'd be late. I did. you
Well,
know.
I that was a fair assumption to make, and also in fairness to you guys did text me like it was 10 minutes after I left the house. You guys sent a message saying you wouldn't be there till a bit later. Now, unfortunately, I didn't look at my phone until I arrived in
Oh
Tato Bar. And
no.
do you know the weirdest thing is that on my way there, I was thinking, oh, I'd love a McDonald's breakfast, but I thought, oh, I don't have time. I need to get.
Oh no, the guilt, James.
No. In fairness to you guys did tell me you'd be late. I just didn't look at my phone, so it's my fault as
Not
much
your
as
fault
anyone's.
at all. It's safe and well done you for not looking at your
Well,
phone.
I just shouldn't. Well, you see, I did have my phone out. Well, it was on my. I was
I
using
was
the
texting someone
GPS.
else, but I just didn't want to answer you guys.
Well, I just had it on silent, so I didn't hear the message come through.
No,
So
it's totally
yeah,
fine. But yeah, we went there. We went on the roller coaster straight away. That was fantastic.
it was a
I
very good
had
idea that we did
I
that
had
first.
no fear at all, as you can tell from the photo.
Oh yeah, the photo.
Um, you seemed to be having a great time. Martha was laughing a lot at me because of how scared I was, and I was screaming quite a bit.
The guy
Um,
beside me didn't seem to have much expression at all.
he was
In the
just,
picture, he was just like that.
which
I think we both felt a bit awkward that we're sitting next to a stranger, you know.
which brings me to another thing I wanted to bring up. Actually, this is a sidetrack. Um, uh, I- I've recently, because of jobs and shit or whatever, I've had to go back onto LinkedIn, and I kind of have been doing
Hmm.
it ironically a little bit. I put a joke photo up and stuff. Um, but then I was like, oh, but
Is
there
that
are
a joke
jobs.
photo?
Yeah.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
I'm
you
like,
look well enough.
oh, thank you. No, it's like my beard is like down here.
Okay.
And I'm like wearing a suit jacket, possibly over this t-shirt. Like it's not real. Um,
Well, mine is like
but
a mugshot. I don't know if
well, I
you've
was
seen
just
mine.
this is what I was going to mention because it has been suggesting that I connect with you for 10 years now because we were in college
Yeah,
together,
yeah,
similar circle of friends, and then I finally got a notification this week that you had finally hit the connect with this
yeah.
person button, and I just
Did you
clicked it.
reject it?
I didn't
You
reject
should.
it. I haven't anythinged it yet because when I clicked it, I saw the photo and I was sitting here at the computer and Martha was behind me here in the kitchen and she saw it too and she was like, "What the fuck?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know." Uh,
Oh shit! I've
uh,
always wondered how that picture comes across.
well, it's just because, as previously mentioned on an earlier episode, check the archives. There's a slight resemblance between you and Ted Bundy in some people's eyes. And in that photo, it does look like something you'd see on a Netflix documentary for somebody that had murdered about 18 people. It's I'm
Yeah,
sure to people who don't like know you like I do and aren't as familiar or whatever and don't have these funny
yeah.
jokes that we've invented ourselves. Like they're not you. That's not
It
Uh,
does look a bit like a mugshot, though.
it,
It's actually a
it's
passport photo, which is why it's dead
it's
straight on. But I
it's
picked
that
that one because yeah.
and it's like and it's like a white background behind as
Yeah.
well. Um,
Okay. I need to change it then. I need to do a photo shoot.
I think a slightly more modern James with a bit more a bit less.
Friendly. Should I smile? Should I be laughing at the picture?
Maybe not. I think I'm grinning in mine because I'm doing a joke. I'm like, like a smirk, which don't do that. No, not a smile. Just not a something, not something that you have as many
Not
skeletons
scary.
in the closet. So Tayto Park. That was just a tangent.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. We went on plenty of the rides. None of the queues took especially long. I was
No, they're
expecting
pretty good.
Yeah, they were. I was expecting the fairground from Father Ted, as is
Same.
tradition in Ireland with anything.
Yeah, I thought it'd be like Funderland. Do you remember Funderland? I don't know. Maybe that was
I've
more
never
of a
been.
more. Yeah, see, there. Yeah, Funderland, and then there'd be other kind of traveling ones. Like I
Well,
know the field behind my primary school. They used to come every year. All
mhm.
these like kind of slightly scary looking people from I don't know unusual parts of the world, countries that don't exist anymore. That kind of people. Okay, so we did the big wooden roller coaster. That was great. I thought that was probably my favorite of them. It was the most exciting and kind of scary and thrilling of them, because of the huge drop at the beginning, and
That initial drop, and
it
then it's
was really
quite
good.
fast through the
It is, yeah.
twists and turns.
I think it made every ride afterwards seem a bit tame. I think
Hmm.
in comparison, but I think the one we did after that, we did like a whole loop of the place. We saw all the animals.
Yes.
Um, there's like wild animals like jaguars and weird little rodenty things and kind of monkey type.
Yeah, cute
You
little
can tell I learned a lot
monkeys.
about about
Yeah,
the
yeah.
animals.
Yeah, there was like that one tiny little cute white monkey that was chewing on stuff.
Yeah.
There
There was the
was
bird with the really long legs, secretary bird.
the secretary bird who again made me
Mm,
question some
kind
things.
of kind of sexy bird, yeah.
I definitely can see it.
There was the pigs. They were just there,
They were
and then beside them was the the goats and the sheep, little baby goats and sheep that
Mhm.
you could come in and give them
Oh
a
yeah,
little
you could
rub.
give them a little rub, and that was lovely. Actually, that was very cute.
Yeah, they were. Yeah,
The little
I did
petting
feel
park.
a little bit out of place because we were like the only other adults in there were ones with kids. So we were just a group of
Yes.
three, three adults going in to play with the goats. But fuck it, we enjoyed it. We had
Yeah,
good fun.
no, like stop gatekeeping people with children. It's like it's like I don't understand why they don't like fuck gyms or whatever. Why don't they build playgrounds that it's okay for adults to go on? You would
I
accidentally
know. Yeah.
exercise.
Speaking of playgrounds, there were quite a few playgrounds in Tayto Park. There was
Sure
one
were.
really massive one with big like slides and everything. It looked really cool. We only saw it very
Yeah.
briefly.
Yeah, yeah, it was sort of a wooden one. And then there was a fantastic, I mean, Jesus, just check out the video footage, but a water park that was just, I mean, man, if you want to have sopping wet kids destroying the backseat of your car, you know where to bring them.
If you've ever watched a YouTuber called Bald and Bankrupt, he travels around a lot of former Soviet countries. He goes to really unusual ones like Moldova, where which no tourists really go to. And it reminded me of the kind of public spaces he sees in places like that, which have were built 30 years ago and have not been maintained since.
And mostly made of concrete and kind of run down and
Concrete
falling
and
apart.
rusting metal, and yeah.
The There's a really fucking cool place in Martha's hometown of Ciechocinek in Poland, and it was like a communist built community swimming pool.
Hmm.
So it's such a fucking like Roman pillars on this big gateway that leads to this concrete pool, and it's like imposing and huge, and look
Yeah,
how powerful and mighty this communism is, and look what it can build. But it's been since
mm.
abandoned and not like no upkeep has been done on it. So it's like cracked, and plants are growing back through it, and there's
Yeah.
graffiti and broken glass, and it's just fucking so cool to go and look at.
Yeah, I love those kind of. I love any kind of abandoned buildings. I think they're
It's
really
like it.
beautiful.
It's like the ones you see from around Chernobyl, all those towns that were abandoned.
Mm,
It's got that kind of vibe. If you ever saw those photos and videos from around,
yeah,
I can't think of the name of the towns
yeah,
offhand.
Pripyat.
Pripyat.
I've got a video I might cut a little bit in of when I walked around the abandoned cigarette factory here in Dublin.
Oh
Really cool.
no way!
I'll put in a little clip of it anyway, so you can see it.
I bet every trace of tobacco has been stolen out of that building.
I'm sure. Yeah, yeah. There was an old staff kitchen though, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, in Strokestown there was an abandoned mushroom factory when I was
Mm.
growing up. And in the early 90s, it used to be where they made the Bosco dolls.
Oh,
Yeah, all the
it,
Bosco dolls were made in Strokestown in this
really?
factory. And then at some point in the mid 90s, it converted to a mushroom factory. And then in the, I guess, either late 90s, early 2000s, it was abandoned. So we would like drink in there, in this
Yeah,
abandoned old fucking mushroom factory.
yeah. What were we gonna say then? Oh yeah, the rides. Yes, we went around, looked at all the animals, including the herd of bison. Um, and then we went on the I think I called it at the time the prostate stimulator ride, but it was really more of a perineum tickler.
Yes,
That's what you call it, the
I felt
tickler.
it almost exclusively in my balls and my taint. That feeling
So
when
to
you go
just
over a bump in a car.
so to describe it was this thing you see them in a lot of places that you go up and then you drop real fast, and then you go up again, drop again, and
Mhm,
you get that feeling of like going up or down a lift or over a hump in the road,
mhm.
but just magnified. I'd never realized how much that feeling is entirely I don't know, focused
Localized.
on, on the perineum. But there
And
you go.
I wonder if that's a This is me spitballing in my non-educated guest territory. But like when males are in danger, they instinctively like cover
Retract.
their genitals and stuff. And
Mm.
like females will do it over the womb. They'll like cover their stomach. And I wonder if that feeling is when you get fear of death or mortality or falling, you're protecting.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah,
That's why that particular area gets that. Now, I mean,
yeah,
I get that too. If I see like an old person with like a gnarly cut on their leg or something, my balls go.
yeah, yeah. Sure,
If
yeah.
I get a shock or a fright that's visceral, it tends to hit me
Mm,
there.
yeah.
Um,
Then what should we go on after that?
we went
Oh,
on
it was the thing that swings back and forth,
the rotator.
rotator,
Which
which
what did Martha call it? The 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 the,
rotato
the rotato, yeah, the rotato,
or yeah,
or the
I said
potator.
the
But I think
potator. Yeah,
yeah, it
I
was
think
one of those. It was a good joke either
rotato.
way. We're
Yeah.
butchering it here, but it was fantastic. Rotato.
And we saw quite an elderly man going on it before us, and
Mm.
we thought, oh, he's not gonna do well in this because it looked quite scary.
Well, because he was beside a larger woman, and they went
Yeah.
together, and I couldn't work out whether it was his wife or his carer because he looked very old.
Yeah, he looked older
Um,
than her. Yeah.
and she, but I mean, I don't know. They could have been husband and wife. I'm not sure, but she couldn't get on the ride because it wouldn't close down on her.
Yeah.
And it was one of those like, ooh, cringe moments. And then I was really scared for him because he had to go on the ride by himself, and he looked like he was shaking like
Yeah,
crazy.
he was shaking like mad. Yeah, and then maybe I didn't know, is that a medical thing or was he really nervous? I don't know. He didn't look nervous though.
Exactly.
He
But
was
no,
just sitting there with a smile on his face.
oh my god, I got pit stains. I gotta keep my arms down. Then when the ride like went, and it's this rotating arm that swings up and down and spins and really quite intense, he was just
Yeah.
smiling. He was having a great time.
He had his hands crossed like that in front of
Yeah.
him, little smile on his face. Seemed so peaceful.
Like he was about to slip off for the big sleep at any moment.
He was
Put
ready
me at
to
ease
go
though.
if that was
Put
his
me at
time.
ease.
Yeah, well, I tried to channel him now when I was on the ride, but it
Sure.
actually turned out to be it's none of them were as scary when you're actually on them.
Yes. That
And
one
that one
was
was actually really enjoyable.
it was really enjoyable, but it was scary, but not in a I'm gonna die way, which like the roller coaster for me was like, oh my god, I'm gonna die.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that one was scary when you were upside down and it was just the clamp holding you on. So you were like
Yeah,
gravity was pulling you toward Earth, and like it was like, oh my god, this is fucking crazy. But it was
yeah.
really fun ride. What else did we do?
And then was the other one? Was it just the one that myself and you went on? Is that the only other one we
Well,
did?
also we went in the
Oh
most
Jesus!
father, the most Father Ted, like the Hall of Mysteries, or like the Tunnel
Yeah.
of Illusion, or whatever the fuck. And
Tunnel of
like
Goats. Yeah.
yeah, and like I had been on something similar in Edinburgh. They've got a perspective museum or an optical museum,
Mm,
and it's got one of those permanent ones built in, and you walk in, and it's so disorientating you cannot walk forward, or it's really difficult. And I was
yeah.
expecting that, but then you get in there, and it's just like a tube of fabric
Yeah, it
spinning,
was fabric. Yeah, with
and
some
then
little like LED lights in it. That was about it.
and it was torn in a part of it as well, and it was just like.
It was also really small. My head was touching the fabric as it was going over the top.
Absolutely nothing has changed. I've been wearing this shirt the whole time. The sooner we acknowledge that, the sooner we can get on with our day.
Cool. There was one other ride we went on. It was just myself and yourself went on it. And Martin went to get the curly potato fry things, crisp things.
And
Um,
yeah, and you asked for extra salt and vinegar, I think, didn't you?
I did. I wanted it to be tongue-searingly salt and vinegar.
I want to feel like
My
I got
mouth was
herpes in my
sore for
mouth.
ages. Yeah, I could feel it dissolving my teeth. Like, um, but the last ride we went on was it's like a wheel, and you've got sorry, put my hand here where you can see a wheel with little seats hanging down on it, and then it spins like that, and then it turns like that and spins. And that one I was really a bit nervous of. I thought when you're upside down on it, that's going to be awful.
Yeah.
But I was talking to my cousin about this because we like nerding out about things, and I was saying that when you're going around like that, you're just feeling the centrifugal force is pulling you away from the center of that big circle. So you don't
Yes.
feel gravity. You don't notice
No.
being upside down. I
On,
thought you'd
on
feel upside downness, but you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the difference in the rotato, because when it
Mm.
spun, it was slow at certain points.
Yeah,
So
it's
you
just slowly
felt the
rotating.
gravity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas on the one we were on, the last one, you didn't, because the force was pushing you back, and
Yeah.
you felt locked in.
The only thing disorienting about it was that you'd be coming down towards the ground, then up towards the sky, and then the ground again. That got a
That
bit kind of dizzying. There was a
it
bit
was
of
it
G force
was
from it too.
it was a lot of fun. Yeah, I think you had said that it was like sort of astronaut training, or
Yeah, it wasn't quite that. I was
it
exaggerating,
didn't,
but it was a
of
bit.
course, perfect, but it had that kind of vibe to it more than any of
Yeah.
the others. I really enjoyed that one though. That was a lot of fun.
Mm.
Perfect way to cap it off. And then when we'd first gotten into the place, I had seen those stands where you could win giant teddies.
Oh yes, yeah.
And so after we'd done all the rides and we were basically ready to kind of pack up and whatever, or it was probably before actually, because I remember I had him on that ride. But whatever,
Mm.
we went to those booths, and the game was you had two chances to throw a ball into a bucket. The bucket's at an angle, and so you have to like throw the ball in, and it has to stay in there. It's a bouncy ball, and it's a bucket at an angle.
Mm. So naturally, it
Uh,
just kind of bounces
it just
right out.
bounces right
Yeah.
out. Like that's just the way it's like built in shape. They don't want you to keep winning.
Mm.
But the guy beside me, I saw him immediately. I saw him put backspin on it, and I was so glad he was there, because I was like, "Oh, that's the trick for sure."
Mm.
And so I bought like 4 throws. It was like €5 or €10 or something. And on the second throw, I think I got it, or you had to get two
Yeah.
throws in a row or something. But I got it anyway, and I won Pikachu here. This Pikachu, whose name is Arthur Cecil Edgar, or Ace for short.
Nice.
And so now he is part of the family, and Mr. Tato is right underneath him here in this coaster.
Oh, coaster, nice.
Yeah, it's a Mr. Tato coaster, so that's part of the family now.
We were expecting the Pikachu's to be like soft and fluffy. They look like they'd be soft,
Yep.
but they've actually are filled with like hard foam kind of stuff.
It's not like even comfortable to like lie on the couch or anything. It's just
it
kind
kind
of
of
a
squashes and crumbles as well when you
it's
push
just
it
kind
too
of a big
hard.
block. And like he'd been sitting in that carnival for God knows how long, and there is currently a global pandemic. I don't know if you've heard about it. So like I don't know how much he's been breathed on. So I was like spraying
Yeah.
the shit out of him when I got home with disinfectant. But yeah, so I think
That's
that's
still
pretty
a
much
cool.
Tato. Oh, and then Tayto Park, we won our Pikachu. We went on all our rides. We were getting about ready to go home, and we went to the gift shop. And in the gift shop, they were selling the bison burgers and steaks from the bison around the ranch, around the whatever.
It's a zoo where you get to eat the animals afterwards.
Yeah, it's the best kind of zoo.
Can you see that then?
Yeah, I can see it. I got it here. Oh my God! Wait a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time. The long-awaited return of the famous segment on James and Sean's Family Spice Bag.
Browsing housing for you.
So this place, it looks a bit odd when you see it, doesn't it? With the like
Yeah, it's like a strip
row
of
windows.
windows.
And it's basically this one kind of room in the front, and then another kind of room joined onto it here. So I don't know where
Looks
your bed would go.
clean though.
It does, yeah. It's definitely recently done up.
Oh, there's a man in that reflection.
Yeah.
Okay, a washer, dryer, and everything. God.
So it seems pretty good, but then I thought the location Black Horse Avenue seemed familiar. Where this is if you were going over to Tesco in Cabra, where the McDonald's is and stuff like that,
Yeah.
the other side of the park. Do you remember that really dodgy little estate beside Tesco?
Not offhand. Can we street view it?
Yeah, we can, because this unit used to be a shop.
Donald
It
Trump's
was a
wife.
this used to be a shop, which is why it looks so weird. This was a
It does
butcher
have
shop
shop
and then a
fucking
barber,
vibes.
and it's like in an almost abandoned little row of shops, in a dodgy estate. So the unit is this barber shop
No.
in this horrible little.
That's weird, man. Shit. So they're converting now little fucking shacks attached to old businesses.
Yeah, into a house.
Wow.
Now, I have a feeling I don't think any of those windows would open. I imagine they're not designed to be.
They
It's not designed to be a house, like.
yeah. I mean,
And you'd have all the fucking kids probably hanging around in
oh,
your
it'd be
your
awful.
Eden
Can you
your
imagine? Like, look at this.
garden.
Like the aesthetics of this area alone says drug deal.
Oh, totally, yeah. And then this park is a bit rough, I
And
think, as
you're
well.
right on the ground. You're the place that doesn't have the fence, and your windows are
Yeah,
so many of them staring right there. No, wow, that's you
and
would
people would
not think that
probably,
from the inside.
yeah, people wouldn't think this is a house either. So I
Now,
imagine kids hang around and cause trouble here.
does it come though with that fucking uh gate that you can put down, that
Just
shutter?
put down the shutters.
Because I'd feel safer.
I
I
don't
would.
know. I
Like
would
if at
too.
night I could put down the shutter, I'd actually be like,
Yeah,
oh, okay, I'm in my little box. Although you'd go
I'd
mental.
I'd rather, yeah, and I'd rather not live in a place where I need to have a metal screen to protect me.
You legitimately would go insane though if you were locked
But
in an
yeah,
actual box.
that's that
That's
little wall there.
fucking
Just
wild.
that one. It's-
That's
I mean,
that's
fucking hell.
unbelievable. That the welcome to renting in Dublin 2021. So in line then with and that was Browsenhausen. In line with the movies and stuff, and it coming up to spooky season, which is my favorite time of year.
Me too.
Uh,
Sorry, I was just grabbing a bottle of beer. Sorry.
that's totally fine. We've been watching like some spooky movies.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, so I looked up like, you know, top 15 like horror or unsettling movies of the last, 15 years. And, some of the ones that come up are like, I don't know if you've ever seen The Witch. It's written with like two V's,
No, I
The
haven't.
Witch. But I'd seen that previously. It's very good. It's very unsettling. Um, but we saw one called Swallow. And it's this movie about a housewife that just starts inexplicably swallowing random items.
Okay.
And the items keep getting bigger and more dangerous.
Did she swallow a fly and then swallow a spider to catch the fly? Isn't that some kind of
No, it's
nursery
like a
rhyme?
nursery rhyme or something. Actually,
Yeah.
yeah. Fuck, that's ringing like a weird bell. Maybe it's actually a modern adaptation of that. Uh, so yeah, like it starts with I think like a marble. Maybe it didn't start with that, but something small like a marble, and then she, goes up to a battery, and then she tries to swallow like sharp things and stuff, and then she gets found out by her what do you call it, her family, her husband and her parents-in-law, her in-laws,
Mm.
and they're like basically saying, look, we're going to get you help, and they basically think she's crazy. She's kind of a trophy wife anyway. She doesn't feel like she's good enough. The husband's not giving her much attention, and it's kind of her way of gaining control. She then is like going to therapy. She's like saying, but there's nothing wrong with me, I just like how it feels in my mouth or whatever.
Mm.
uh and I'm going to spoil it. Will I spoil it? Do you want to ever watch it, you think?
I probably won't. So,
Okay. It's it's
uh,
it's good. It's good. I mean, it kept my interest the whole time, and it's different. It wasn't
mm.
like a jump scare thing. It was just like what is happening? And then like as the movie goes on, she in passing mentions in therapy that she's a rape baby. So she is the product of her mother being raped by this like evil asshole person, obviously because he's a rapist. And so even though her mother, like, they have pleasant conversations on the phone, kind of, never felt like she was good enough, and that her mother always resented her. Now she's with her husband, and that family kind of resents her, and she's just a trophy person, and that's why she's trying to gain the control. When she runs away from her husband because they're trying to commit her to an insane asylum, she calls her mother, asks can she stay there, and the mother's like, No, don't come here." And then you can tell
Mm.
that's all because she's never been wanted, and she's never been wanted anywhere, and that's why she is the way she is. And then the climax of the movie is she goes to confront her real father, the rapist.
Okay.
And he's remarried. He served some time in jail. He's out now. He has a kid of his own. He turned his life around. But then this fucking ghost from his past essentially walks in and
Mm.
confronts him. And it is the fucking greatest scene in the movie. It's phenomenal. It's so like there's such a tension when she's in there. His whole life could blow up right now because they don't know his past.
Mm.
And she just needs to feel validated, like she was wanted in some way. And it's all based on this woman swallowing things. It seems silly. It's like a real movie, though. You know, it's not like a. It's like an artful real movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then like even though her real father is like a complete piece of shit or whatever, he is the one that like sees her, accepts her, and says that nothing was her fault. The only person that's ever done that. And so it turns that
Right.
like the nicest person to her was the one that did the worst thing.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it's yeah, it's really really fucking awesome. Really good movie. Uh then we watched 28 Days Later,
Oh, okay.
which I had never seen. I'm not big into zombies, but you know,
Mm.
it's what's his name? What's the guy? Super famous director who did that? He did Train Spotting as well.
Oh,
Uh,
Irv. Oh no, that's the guy who wrote it.
no, give me a
Yeah,
second.
he's super famous. Oh, I'm gonna know his name.
Danny Boyle.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh, so it's a Danny Boyle movie, super low budget. And because of how many zombie things came after, this was part of the revival that brought it back. It does a lot of
Mm.
things that you know what's coming because you know the tropes. But really well done. Killian Murphy is great in it. It's Brendan Gleeson is great in it. Two strong Irish
Mm.
actors, and it's like it's shocking and it's like depressing and it's dour, and you can see how a lot of the zombie revival happened because of it, and it feels like it was shot on like VHS. It's got a
Right.
really
Yeah.
shitty low budget quality to it, but it's good. It's fun. It's worth watching.
Yeah.
It's
I've
if you
never
want
seen
to
it actually.
yeah, if you want to sit
Yeah.
into or like it's really interesting the shots that they somehow pulled off of the empty streets of London because
Mm.
it really like how could you do that on their budget?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And really fucking cool stuff. And just yeah, straightforward kind of fun movie. And like all zombie movies, it turns out the humans were the real monsters. You know, like that's always the fucking message or the whatever. So has this been episode 7 in the canon?
um, I'll need to look on YouTube to. I think.
Yeah,
I think
I,
seven.
I
Seven sounds
think
right.
this is episode 7. Episode 7 of James and Sean's Family Spice Bag, our own Mandela effect name for our show. Tell us when. I want to know when whoever the fucking 6 people that see this, when do you remember the spice bag being a thing, and also when do you remember Elf on a Shelf being a thing? I want to know your earliest
Mhm.
memory of both of those things, and also if you've experienced any Mandela effects yourself. Let me know. Let us
Mhm.
know. I'm super fascinated by stuff like that. I want to know. Where was your first
I hope
spice bag?
there's. I hope there's Mandela effects relating to us as well. That like that people thought we had died, and they vividly remember it.
It's like, yeah, you guys, you died in Canada. What the fuck is that?
We buried you over there.
Yeah, like don't you remember? It's like what? Maybe we
Do
are.
you ever
We're from
feel
the
like
other universe.
there's? Do you feel like there's alternate timelines where that happened? Like whenever
Well,
I've been in a situation where I thought, oh, that was a really close call,
mm,
I always feel like there's another version of me that did happen to.
there's like a theory with consciousness because nobody knows what consciousness actually is, but
Mm.
that everyone gets to experience their fullest version of their consciousness. So if you die in one person's fullest version and they live their full life, in an alternative timeline you might not have died there, and you could keep living on or whatever. So if someone you know has died in an alternative universe or an alternate universe, they could still be living their fullest life or whatever,
And does that
up
mean
to
that
old age.
we will experience the longest one of our own timelines? Does
Your
it mean
own
that we're
consciousness,
guaranteed to
yeah, your own
experience that one?
consciousness will jump as soon as it ends in
Mm.
another one. You will always, and because of the way consciousness works, it can jump to that. But on a non pseudoscience nonsense, the best theory they have for quantum mechanics at the moment, and the measurement problem that they have, because when you measure a quantum event, it is, would say, an electron has spin up or spin down. When you measure it, it
Mm.
is guaranteed spin up or guaranteed spin down. But before you measure it, it's in a superposition of where it is actually
Yeah,
both.
the both. Yeah.
The most common or the most accepted version of that, what's actually happening on a fundamental level, is that by measuring it, it actually splits the universe.
Oh yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
It's the many worlds theory. Look it up. There's loads of
Mm.
videos online. There's a very good quantum physicist called Sean Carroll. He does amazing
Mm.
videos on it, um, where basically it splits. The universes can never join again. And it's branching. It's the branching of the wave function that happens every single time a quantum event occurs. So it's like a more scientific version of the pseudosciencey version, love and
Yeah. Yeah.
consciousness thing. Super interesting. If you have any interest in like the science and the fundamental nature of reality itself, check out Many
Yeah.
Worlds. Super interesting. That's a fun way to say.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for episode 7.
Yeah. Go on and live your never-ending lives.
Never ending. Like, yeah, just keeps repeating. All this has happened before and will happen again.